this video, we're going over the pros and cons of Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Let's go.
Before we get into the pros and cons of living in Emerald Isle, let's talk about the livability. This is going to be about 3,800 people living in Emerald Isle, and the average age of the person living in Emerald Isle is about 56. So you're looking at people that are looking forward to retiring. It is actually listed as the number 10 best place in North Carolina to retire out of 356 towns too.
Yeah, which is huge, seeing as population has decreased over the last couple of years. And the reason is because there's been appreciation in the area due to investors and then just inflation in the economy and all of that stuff. But with that said, even though it's a fantastic place for people to retire, the school district is rated as an A on niche.com, an A and an A minus. So if you are coming with kiddos that are in the school district, it is relatively good school districts as long as they're in Morehead City school district. There's other mixed reviews out there about Carteret County school districts and all of that stuff, but generally speaking, A and A minus. Emerald Isle is just a fantastic area, coastal area. It is the last town, it's the southernmost town in the Outer Banks. And honestly, it's the first beach town that we fell in love with.
Yes.
When we lived in North Carolina the first time when I was in the Marine Corps. And I've said it on my videos before, but Emerald Isle has a number of, now it's a couple of them, but one house in particular, it's a pink house that she absolutely adores and wants. It's massive and it's a couple $1 million, but beautiful real estate. It's a beautiful beach. And, you know, it is a pretty safe area. If we're looking at crime statistics, I mean, there's virtually no crime. There's a couple like car break-ins and things like that, but basically no crime at all.
All right, so jumping into pro number 1 of Emerald Isle, it's definitely going to be the coastal charm of this place. Sure. It is part of Crystal Beach, and like Avery mentioned earlier, it is the southernmost town of the Outer Banks, and it has beautiful beaches. Yeah. I think one thing that I particularly love about Emerald Isle Beach is that they have a lifeguard on duty from April to September. Yep. So that's a great perk for people.
It's very family friendly. You can let your kids go in the water. Obviously, you're gonna want to watch them, but like I'm a helicopter dad at the beach when it comes to the water with our daughter. But you know, it's reassuring knowing that there's a lifeguard on duty during those peak season. What is it, April through September?
Yes. So
yeah, there's that, and then also, you know, with so many people running around and stuff, because it is a vacation hub, you know, along the Crystal Coast, pretty much every single beach is a vacation hub. You get people from Beaufort or even further up north in the Outer Banks coming down to Emerald Isle. You know, clear blue water, nice sand. It's awesome. But when you get that many people coming through, it's nice to have the lifeguard.
Extra set of eyes.
For sure. And then, you know, with that, I mean, Emerald Isle is a very small island. So you have homes on the island that are either looking at the ocean or the sound. And beautiful views throughout. I mean, it is a southern facing view on the Atlantic Ocean. So you will get a lot of those sunrises and sunsets on both sides of the island. So, you know, we like to go chase the sunsets every once in a while. So you're definitely going to get them on the sound side of Emerald Isle. And with that said, there is a number of water activities that you can do. Obviously, you can go into the sound and have your boats, your kayaks, all that stuff. But you can also rent, you know, jet skis and kayaks and stuff from local shops. There's a number of dining facilities along the water, whether it's the sound or oceanside. So dining and the restaurants, and there's really no nightclubs in the area because it's not that big of an area, but the night scene is more of your mature night scene. So your breweries, maybe sipping some wine at a restaurant and dining out, that kind of thing. Once again, the average age is 56
56.
years old. So, you know, it is going to be a little bit more mature activities than, you know, if you go further down south to Wrightsville Beach.
And that's going to lead us into pro number 2, which is the leisurely lifestyle. So we've mentioned a few times now that median age is about 56. So you're going to get the retirees, people looking forward to retirement here. So generally, lifestyle is just going to be more relaxed here in Emerald Isle.
Yeah, and a lot of the boating scene is not necessarily speedboats or anything like that. It's more of your, you know, your pontoon style. You're going out in the sound and you're floating, you're sunbathing. You're just enjoying drinks on the water.
Yeah.
You know, I think about my dad on Canandaigua Lake in New York and just sits out there all day just drinking a glass of wine.
Absolutely.
And, you know, get sunburn and stuff. And so, you know, Emerald Isle is great for that. And when you go throughout town, you are going to notice that there's not a lot of hustle and bustle. There is no, with the exception of, you know, some of the tourist activity and stuff in the peak season.
Sure.
But throughout the year, the majority of the time, it's much slower than a lot of your beaches down south. Or even if you head a little further north to Atlantic Beach, it's definitely a little busier in Atlantic Beach as well. So Emerald Isle is very low-key, laid back, and definitely leisurely. Like I said, my dad would very much enjoy the beach here and, you know, just floating on the water in the sound.
Yeah.
So if you're into, you know, a little bit lower, low-key lifestyle and that kind of thing, Emerald Isle is going to be for you. All right, and pro number 3 is the close-knit community in Emerald Isle.
Yeah, so this place is definitely going to be your golf cart community. You're going to see neighbors meeting up to go to the beach or grab a drink together.
Yeah, there's golf cart parking spaces. There's golf cart trails throughout, basically on the side of the roads. And so a lot of the people that live here, so 88% of all residents in Emerald Isle own their home in Emerald Isle versus renting their home. So you get to know your neighbors. And when you get to know your neighbors, you go to the beach together, you go to the restaurants, the bars, the golf course together. There is a golf course right across the Bogue Sound. There's another place called Mac Daddy's, which is like an adult obstacle course, jungle gym type thing, which is really, really cool. We got to go.
Yeah.
I think you can bring the kids too. But yeah, so you'll see a lot of neighbors just being neighborly. And, you know, we come from an area in upstate New York that's known as the city of friendly neighbors, Buffalo, New York. I would say Emerald Isle is pretty darn close. Really, all the beach towns around here are the same. But Emerald Isle is pretty darn close to the city of friendly neighbors without being, you know, a big city like Buffalo, New York. But if you move here, you're definitely going to become friends with your neighbors. You're going to be sitting on your porch having a drink, smoking a cigar, and enjoying life with your neighbors. So if you're not friendly with people, maybe you don't move here. But if you are and you like to get to know your neighbors and other people and make friends, then this is definitely a great place for you.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, and before we get into the con section of this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and drop us a comment what you think, you know, your favorite pro of Emerald Isle is, or the worst con. There's many more pros and cons to Emerald Isle. We simply can't discuss all of them in one video. But moving on to the cons, I would say that the first con is the storm resilience in Emerald Isle. You know, we just got hit with a tornado and they flooded, right? So Emerald Isle, I mean, being right on the coast, and it's a very small island. It is like just above sea level, so tons of flooding. When you have big monster waves coming through, you're gonna get some pretty serious flooding.
You're likely to see more damage here in Emerald Isle because of the lack of storm resilience in this area.
Yeah, you will notice a lot of the houses on the island are very, very high off the ground as well. The beaches are relatively large.
Yeah.
They're large beaches, but with high tide, water comes up onto the island, and you will see some flooding, which is why the majority of homes are, up on the stilts. So, which I think looks pretty awesome.
I love the look.
But you also, you get to benefit from the sound, which also floods. And it just kind of adds to the catastrophic, storm surge, the flooding, all of that stuff when storms hit. We do get hit with storms, April through November, basically. We're in December right now, and we just got a tornado, and some parts of the coast were flooded more than others. Where we live, we didn't get hit pretty bad at all with the tornado, but Emerald Isle was one of the areas that flooded. So something to think about. You're definitely going to need your flood insurance, and even if you buy a home in cash, I would recommend getting flood insurance on your property. It just makes sense to do it so that all of your belongings and your home is protected. All right, so con number 2 is the tourist influx, especially during peak season.
Yes. So here you're going to see hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people coming to vacation in Emerald Isle. So with that influx, you are going to see, busier traffic, obviously. There's going to be more people, suntanning next to you on the beach as well.
There's two bridges onto the island. You have Atlantic Beach and then you have Emerald Isle. And so they're not very far. It's not a big island at all. So, peak season, when you have that influx of people coming in, the tourists, it is going to be a little bit busier traffic. I know that we've been on the island before when traffic is super, super busy. Can't find a parking spot to go onto the beach. So if you own on the island, if you own in Emerald Isle, you kind of get the best of, that aspect of it because you don't need to find parking spots. You can just walk to the beach. All of your stuff's right there. With that said, Emerald Isle does have a ton of vacation rentals. So, it's a great investment area, especially with the appreciation that we've had over the last couple of years. People are holding on to their properties and renting them out. And it is a pretty expensive place to vacation. So when you're warranting all of those prices for the rentals, I mean, you're making a pretty penny on your investment if this isn't your primary residence. So, if it is your primary residence, that can be a downside because you just have a ton of vacationers. Your neighbor might not be your neighbor anymore. It might be someone from Montana or Washington or something. And, so something to think about. It is a vacation destination. So anytime you move to a vacation destination, you are going to get those tourists, which can be a bummer sometimes. Yeah. And then with that, con number 3, she says is like a pro and a con, is the boutique town vibes that Emerald Isle has.
Yeah, so I am a sucker for the boutique shops. I love them. You find unique gifts in there. No two are the same, and that's what I absolutely love about them. But it is also a con because you're not going to find your big box stores here in Emerald Isle. Yep. You go over the bridge to the mainland, and that's where you'll be doing shopping at the big box stores.
Yeah, Swansboro, Southport, or even Havelock, or going into Jacksonville, or even Morehead City has some. But you aren't going to get your shopping malls. You can go to Swansboro and get some of your bigger box stores there, or Jacksonville, but it's few and far between in Emerald Isle. So you are dealing a lot more with your boutique shops, your smaller restaurants. You're not going to have any chain restaurants on the island, which in my opinion is better because you get better food. It is more expensive, but it's better food. So why wouldn't you pay more? But Emerald Isle is a fantastic place. It is a con though for some people that you can't just, you know, go down the street and get, you know, the majority of your groceries or clothes or whatever you're out shopping for. You do have to drive, you know, 25, 30 minutes to get there.
Yep.
But in my opinion, I mean, anywhere in North Carolina that's worth living, you have to drive. So it is what it is. Like, we live on the coast as well, and yeah, we have to drive a few minutes to get to some of the bigger box stores, but we love it. We wouldn't have it any other way, and clearly a ton of people say the same thing. So with that said, that was the pros and cons of Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Let us know in the comments if you know of any more cons or pros. If you live here, what's your experience? Are you selling? Are you buying? Like, what's the deal with you? Let us know in the comments. We would love to hear from you and start that conversation. But until the next video, guys, peace. See you later.